Let's go.
Dr. Rosie Milligan, one of the most sought-after speakers on the circuit today. Her live internet talk show, Express Yourself, is the most provocative, thought-provoking, and talked-about radio show on the internet. There's no holds barred, and Dr. Milligan puts the B in bold. She brings it every Tuesday live at 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dr. Rosie has been proclaimed the most provocative female writer of the century. Her books include Satisfying the Black Man and Black Woman Sexually Made Simple, Why Black Men Choose White Women, and the book Nigga Please. These books have raised eyebrows across the country. She has authored 21 books and published 350 titles for authors nationwide. Check Dr. Rosie out at drrosie.com for her books, articles, and archives of her internet talk show. Sit at the feet of wisdom. Dr. Milligan is indeed a timekeeper and scorekeeper. She is the clock, calendar, and almanac for Black America. You need to hear her.
Well, wait. Oh, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. This is Dr. Rosie's Express Yourself Hour. And it's with Keith and Shawannah. And
yes.
And we're gonna we're gonna be talking about something that's very, very sensitive to most Black people. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these
right.
answers that we're probably going to come up with, you might disagree with. But the thing is, and Dr. Rosie says the topic's going to be Black America's crossroads. Which party's victory will better address systemic racism and institutional disparities? Okay, and some of the answers are going to surprise you. Okay, this topic will focus on potential impacts of either party winning the election, specifically regarding their approaches to tackling systemic racism, addressing long-standing institutional disparities in areas such as education, healthcare, criminal justice, and housing. Okay, and a lot of this stuff is going to shock you because they've been hiding quite a bit over the past, I would say, at least the past 8 years, but the last 3 or 4, they've been hiding a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff is going to surprise you. So I don't know. So I don't know. How much Dr. Rosie, because Dr. Rosie is not her usual self. You know, sainthood is heavy on the saint's head, and sometimes it kind of weighs her down. So I'm not sure how much Dr. Rosie wants to be involved in this particular talk, but I have a lot to say, and I have a lot of people that are going to disagree with me, and I don't know how far Dr. Rosie wants to kind of, let the dog off the leash.
You know what, Keith, I think we have to really just talk facts, because a lot of times we get used to not talking facts and talking emotions.
Okay.
And I think bottom line, it's really just talking facts. There's no one agreeing or disagreeing with each other. I think it's having an open mind to understanding that we have to make educated decisions, especially when it comes in, voting. Let's go ahead.
The thing is, the thing is about education, and everybody knows that Dr. Rosie knows this, is about information. Dr. Rosie is a big proponent, and Dr. Claude Anderson is a big proponent. The proper information will help you make the correct decision. As you know, that Shawannah, you being in business, you have the facts make all the difference in the world. If you don't have the proper facts, you can't make the proper decisions. And a lot of things that are going on as far as politics, especially with this particular party, with this particular administration, they've been hiding a lot of facts. Okay?
Right.
I think the elephant in the room that will concern Black America most is what we call illegal immigration, which you don't hear that much anymore, is because there's no such thing as illegal immigration anymore. Okay? That's something that me and my group, we found out maybe about a year ago, that they were hiding, is because of particular things, and people don't, because me and my group, we've been studying demographics for the past 6 years, and what you have right now with Black men and women not having, Black women and white women not having enough babies to support the system. Especially the older folks that are retired on pensions, Social Security, don't have enough workers underneath to support the system. Okay, how do you get more? And this is all over the planet. It's not just here: Japan, Korea, China, all over the planet are having the same issue. Okay, how do you support? How do you bring in more workers to support the system underneath? Financially. Okay,
Hmm.
you can't. There's two ways. You can either have them and raise them as babies and put them in the system, which is the proper way. But if you don't have that, what do you have to do? You have to bring in migrants. Okay.
Right.
And-
Well, they
and
brought a lot of them in too.
They brought it depending on who you talk to. Okay.
Hmm.
Biden says 8. You have people like Elon Musk says 16. So
Hmm.
16
Hmm.
million over the past, say about 3 or 4 years. Okay,
Hmm. Right.
and I say I'll hover in right around the 10 million mark. Okay, if you think about that, you have adult men and women coming in uh, as migrants. But thing is, you got to remember there's only like 45 million Black Americans. So they've imported a quarter of your number in the past 3 years. Okay, you think they're going to land in white suburban America? Okay. You think they're going to go to upper middle class white schools? You think they're going to go to some place in mid America like Kansas? No, they're not. Where are they going to land? They're going to land in Black America, right? And guess
Right. Right.
and guess what that's going to cause? Competition, right?
Yes. Yes.
It's going to cause competition for jobs. It's going to cause competitions for schools. It's going to cause
Right.
competition for other things, right? Which is
Right.
why
Housing.
housing. Well, you already see housing
Yeah.
and a lot of money that should go to house Black people. Okay, Black
Right.
women, Black
It's
children, even homeless Black men, right? Where do you think that
right.
money's going? That
It's
money
going in the pockets of immigrants that are
uh,
moving here.
migrants, because you have to bootstrap them in if you want them to get a solid footing and start contributing to your bottom line, to your workforce. Okay, you're going to have to do
Right.
something. You can't just bring them in and dump them into the mid cities, and that's the thing. There's reports in New York and Chicago that they were giving migrant families $3,000 a month in
Right.
debit cards.
Yes,
Okay,
in cash as well.
in
I've been
cash as well.
told
And, and
cash as
so
well.
And so, where the thing is, if unless you believe, I mean, we believe in an abundant universe. But thing is, in capitalism, it's a zero sum game. The money has to come from somewhere.
Hmm.
You got to take the money from somewhere. Do you think they're going to take the money out of middle class America's mouths first? No, they will not.
Well,
That's the first crisis that we have to, hone in on, because that's the quiet part out loud. Okay, because
hmm
Um, them bringing these people in, they're bringing these people in unregulated. Is something that Trump touched upon, which, that debate was actually a disaster because they didn't hone in on problems. They just, they
right,
just called names basically. Okay,
right, exactly.
it
And
was
I
more
think
like,
that's what we need
what,
to do. We need somebody to hone in on the problem. What is the solution? Where do we see things going? What is it that you're going to be doing coming into presidency? I mean, I need to know.
you need to know
I need to know.
which is this, and this is not, that's why I said it's going to surprise you about which party you should pick. Not only the president, that's part of it, but I've heard on the low there's a lot of skin folks. They say skin folks ain't always kin folks. There's a lot of skin folks that want to adopt the moniker people of color instead of Black. And I don't know Dr. Rosie would be completely against that one, okay? But they want to
Mhm.
adopt the moniker people of colors. So hone in on people of color, because you think that Vivek Ramaswamy as a Republican, or Nikki Haley that are Indian, or just here and just
Mhm.
promoted just because, okay? No,
Right. Right.
okay? Though these people are going to be promoted as your future leaders, your future presidents, okay?
Right.
Because
Right.
white power is, you wanted the white supremacy and white power to decline. This is what it looks like, okay? Do you think they're going to promote you over them? The thing is, probably not. And I think Biden said that, okay?
Uh
With
huh.
Biden, I think Biden, before he even took office, he met with Black civil rights leaders, right? And he
Uh
said, you
huh.
want to talk about jobs? You want to talk about resources? He said, we talk to the Latinos, right? He said,
Right.
because there are going to be more of them than you. He said that 4 years ago.
Right.
And
And
guess what? Go ahead.
he was right.
He's right. Now, he's delivered,
He was
right?
right.
Okay.
But how? How was he right? Because he allowed him in.
He was, and he not allowed him. He brought him here. Okay.
Yes,
He,
exactly.
if you go back and look at what Biden said 3 years ago, uh, he announced that the United States is open to migrate a certain amount of people. Right. He
Uh-huh.
said that if you see, they set up centers all over Latin America of how to apply to come to the United States. Okay, that is the quiet part out loud. The thing is, we have to start honing in on what's important to us, right? Uh, uh,
Right.
how the money's distributed. Say
Right.
in areas where we're at, right? Uh, how the scholarships are distributed is because
Right.
there's a reason that the Supreme Court killed affirmative action. Okay, because affirmative action was a way that 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 where a kid from a inner city school that was had lacked resources could get a bootstrap up, get a leg up, and maybe get an education and maybe improve themselves, right? So you have a poor
Mm-hmm.
family that doesn't have anything else. Okay, the only thing we can do is pour into our child, and maybe if our child gets enough education and gets enough resources, that child can actually lift the whole family out of where we are and into another class of people. Okay,
Right.
that's
Right.
that's going to get restricted. But guess what they didn't do? That's why we have to start looking at the quiet part out loud, right? Okay, they took away the affirmative action for black people. They didn't
Mm-hmm.
take it away for women. It was
Right.
race, not sex. Okay,
Right.
why was it race?
Exactly.
Why was it race, not sex? Because you have a lot of liberal white women that supposedly that are on your side that will pat you, pat Keisha on the back and tell her how wonderful job that she's doing. But thing is, behind the scenes, she's gonna say, "What about my son?"
Right. Exactly.
She's gonna start looking
So
out for
what do
her
you?
children. Go ahead.
So so the bottom line is we need to talk facts.
We
So
need to
what
talk
facts do
facts.
we talk? Right.
We should need to talk facts and not political color. Okay, not red
Right.
or blue. Okay.
Right.
In other words, we need to start holding our politicians to feet to the fire. You
Right.
know, and
Because
Doctor,
our world is
go ahead.
changing, and it's changing quickly.
It
I
is
mean, there's huge things that are changing right now. You have banking systems changing,
mhm.
housing systems changing, all different types of systems are changing, and it's being addressed, but it's going unnoticed by the majority. No one's really paying attention to the changes that are taking effect. I mean, even electrical cars, all of this, it's a big change,
Yeah.
and I think it's all for reasons.
Well, these rules have been in place for these laws or these initiatives have been in place for a long time. Like electric
Right,
vehicles, we're supposed to have switched over for to EVs. The date was 2025, right? COVID kind of slowed that down because
right,
you can't do this without infrastructure, okay? Without because
right,
with EVs and self-driving cars, all that kind of stuff, you need you need 5G wireless that are embedded into
right.
your streets, and also you need charging stations, and all kind of things for electric vehicles that are not in place. Okay,
Right. It's not. I don't understand how they can do this to the majority, saying that electrical cars need to come into place. I experienced an electrical car, and it was not nice.
well, one is not nice. There's there's a whole bunch of moving parts as far as electric vehicles that that we don't pay attention to, right? That are not only national, not local, you got national, you got international, right? And basically, all these three things are all impeding on each other all at one time, right? Your manufacturing base is no longer in the United States; it's in China. 80%
Right.
of the goods is manufactured in China now. Okay, they're the leading manufacturer on the planet. Okay, 80% of your 5G chips that needed to go into the roads, into these devices to run these things are produced in China. Okay, and if your
Right.
president, and this is pox on both houses, right? Okay,
Right.
they put a tariff and a restriction on the company that produces your 5G chips because of whatever, right? That means they got to be produced someplace else. That means they have to be
Right.
produced in the United States or Europe, right? Guess who don't have the foundries or the factories to produce these things? Europe and United States. So it
Right.
slows everything down. Okay. So that is the reason we need to talk policy more than party. Okay.
Hmm.
because a lot of your black politicians. And I was just told this yesterday on the low because I have a lot of people that I know that are in what they call the DMV area, right? That have friends that talk to each other, right? A lot of your
Right.
politicians are going to be talking to people of color instead of black.
Mhm.
So you need to be
Right.
careful. If you see a black politician that talks people of color, you need to hold their feet to the fire because what I'm hearing is there ain't no money in black no more. And I'm hearing that ain't no money in black no more. That's what I've been hearing over the past couple of weeks. And a lot of these,
I haven't heard that one yet.
that's what I've been
Yes.
hearing. Okay, I've been.
What are they basing those facts on?
In other words, all they're gonna be pouring money into what we call the over the umbrella thing called people of color.
Uh-huh.
So in other words, you see a black politician that looks like us talking to people of color, you need to look at them with a
Uh-huh.
side eye.
Right.
You need to look at them with a side eye because that means they're willing to take parts, half, all of your money, and put it into Latinos, Asians, whatnot, because that's the umbrella catch group, people of color.
Uh-huh.
So that means their agenda is not focused on you, your family, and your well-being. Okay, it's been compromised. So if you
Right.
see a black politician, okay, talk to people of color, I don't care where they're at, hold their feet to the fire. And we have to start doing business and talk policy.
Okay.
Um, I don't know where you want to jump in on this. I think you talked about banking, right? Okay.
Yeah, banking. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different things that we
Yeah.
need to talk about and
Yeah.
discuss. I
Yeah.
mean, we had a huge debate the
Okay.
other day that was like, I mean, this needs to be discussed. I mean, there was nothing discussed on there that was going to help our economy, our world, our United States of America. I didn't hear really anything except for a lot of this and that. But I did notice,
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that, our president was having some issues. I mean,
He
as
ha-
far as I'm concerned.
he has issues, and this is another quiet part out loud. The reason that you don't have any Democratic rivals rising up to kind of compete against your president is because they made a decision. The Democrats made a decision not to have him. Okay, because
Mhm.
they they believed, and probably they were correct, that he can't campaign. Okay.
Mhm.
But they need him because he's part of a group. He's part of an agenda that they need to run, not just
Right.
domestically, but also globally, right? Like I said, you're quiet
Right.
out loud about importing people. That's not Trump, okay? Donald Trump
Right.
was against importing all these people. So, like him
Right.
or not, whether he's a racist or not, okay, is he doing something that's in your best interest? Okay.
Right.
Is it in your best interest to import over the past 3, 4 years, 10 million, 12 million, 16 million people to compete for your jobs and your resources? Now,
Exactly.
if
And
you
that's
agree,
what's happening right now.
that's what's
I
happening
mean,
right
that's
now.
why we have so many. When you go downtown, you see I see a lot of black people downtown, and it's
Yes,
because we're losing jobs to migrants that's
we're using
coming in
jobs.
here,
Yeah,
and they're taking over. So that's something that we have to consider, something that we have to think about, because I don't think it's fair that this is happening myself.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, sometimes it's not fair. Okay, so we're gonna have to give up the word fair because when it going this going forward, fair ain't got nothing to do with it. Okay.
No,
Okay.
no.
What the thing is, will the needs of the state, of the group, or the United States take precedent over you? And you're gonna have to
Right,
go and you're gonna have to fight for your. You're gonna have to go. You literally gonna really have to go down and fight for your piece of the rock, for your
right,
piece of the pie. Okay, it's not gonna be given to
right,
you anymore, and they've pretty much let you know that it's not gonna be given to you anymore. So you're gonna have from the school board all the way up to the president. You're gonna have to start holding
right.
these people accountable. Okay, because
Accountable. Right,
even down to how your kids are taught, right? You're gonna have to go down to that school. You're gonna have to look at the books. You got to look at the homework. You're gonna have to look at the teachers because the resources are going to get shifted. And
right.
your children. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Shawannah. Go ahead.
And I was going to say, I think that this is an important time, especially right now, because
Mm-hmm.
we're just in the month of July. that we really encourage each person out here to read when they get these propositions that's coming through. Don't just get something from a Democratic Party or a Republican Party and says vote this way.
Right.
Take the time to read these propositions, because they make a huge difference in our lives. I mean, would people have voted on Prop 19 if they knew that Prop 19 was going to destroy all of their inheritance? I mean, no, I don't think so. But it wasn't explained to them that way. So this is something that we have to read, and we can't be directed by any party. I don't care which party is saying, here, vote this way. I think that we do have to understand what we're voting for. And even as far as the president's concerned, don't look at the color, red or blue, because it's not about red or blue. It's about who's going to run our country the best, who's going to put our country back where it needs to be, and what is the agenda. We need to know the agenda of both parties so that we can make an educated decision, because I don't know yet. I don't know the agenda of both parties. But I do know that we have an issue with Biden. I think we have an issue with Biden. And then you have to ask yourself, if you do have an issue with Biden, I'm not directing anything, first of all. I want to say that. But if you do have an issue with Biden, who is going to be the runner-up if anything ever happens? And are you going to be comfortable with that? Because all of that really matters as well, because we want our country ran, and we want it ran strongly, especially with the different wars that are taking place. We do need a strong country. We do need a backbone, and we do need people to know not to mess with the United States of America, because we are strong. And it's not just about blacks or whites, or this is about America, and this is about really making sure that we make a proper decision. And read, know what the agendas of both parties are. And if that agenda, if you look in the future, if it's not something that you want to see our country being like, then, vote the way you need to vote. But, I think that you do definitely need to look ahead. Like right now, if I was to look ahead, what I'm going to be seeing. I mean, do I like the direction we're going right now? I doubt it. It's just something that came across. I definitely don't like it.
Well, it's not. The thing is, you have to basically you have to make the best out of a bad deal right about now.
Right, exactly.
There's nothing but bad hands. Like in Las Vegas, you ain't get nothing but bad hands all the way around, right? Because you're at the bottom of the deck.
Right, exactly.
And
but which one is the better hand?
The thing is, Supreme Court had said that you couldn't lock up homeless people because you didn't have a place for them, you didn't have housing for them, and basically, if you can't do anything for them, you just can't lock them up, put them in jail just because they're homeless. If you don't have any place for them to go, okay? They just reversed that today. They said you can criminalize homeless people. You can lock them up. You can find them, and in my opinion, that's going to set you up for homeless camps. Okay, are you ready for homeless camps? Are you ready to a whole bunch of homeless be rounded up and put in FEMA camps? Because if this Supreme Court decision is enacted and people and local localities want to clean up their cities and stuff like that and get homeless people off the street, there's only one way to do it: is to round them up and put them someplace. And if you round them up and put them some places, is that place going to be clean? Is it going to be safe? Are you going to have resources to actually get them out of the position that they're in? Or is it just to warehouse them? And that's something that we're going to have to wonder about, right? That's something that you're going to have to look at through your local politicians. What are you going to do about me or my family or families that will get put out? Because if rent gets too high, if interest rates get too high, if they foreclose on houses, which there's a lot of houses, I'm Shawannah, I know you follow this. There's going to be a foreclosure crisis coming within the next 5 years, if not less.
Yeah.
And if those people get put out on the streets, families get put out on the street, where do they go? Is there some place to go? Is there a net to catch them, or are they going to get rounded up and get warehoused? So there's a lot of things that we need to talk to our politicians about. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but the thing is everything points in this direction, because as America gets more and more desperate. because you got all these people
Hmm.
coming in. You got all the money, the pie has to get spread out a lot wider. Okay. And this is just migrants.
Right.
We just talk about just local issue with people. We ain't talking about banking. We're not talking about taxes. We're not talking about interest rates. We're not talking about a war economy that we're on. Okay, we're not talking about the United States having to protect the dollar. Why do you think your interest rates are so high? Why do you think that
Hmm.
Powell refuses to lower interest rates when they've been calling for lower interest rates for a year and a half? Okay, because he has to defend the American currency. And if you don't know
Right.
anything about monetary policy, right, especially the gold standard, which we're quasi still on, right? Okay, the only way to protect your currency, if you're under stress, is to do it, raise interest rates, just like any third world country, right? You go to Ghana, right? Ghana is having a problem with their currency or protecting their currency. Their interest rates goes from 8% to 30%. Why do you think that is? It's because they got to attract money back into the country, right? America has to sell bonds. America has debt. America sells bonds. America dollar,
Right.
when the dollars go out, they're a debt. Okay, how do you keep
Hmm.
your currency strong? How do you keep your inflation down by making your currency strong? There's a way to do that. That means raising interest rates. And you know what? You know, Shawannah knows because she's in real estate. That's a big ripple effect when you raise interest rates. Uh,
It does. It really affects everything. I mean, it affects the buying market, the selling market, and then it affects the loan market. Of course, people can't afford the higher interest rates, even though, when I first got into real estate, interest rates were at 18, 20% interest,
yeah.
and I was okay with buying property, so they dropped. So it just depends on how you look at things on rates and things like that.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah, and then
but
even then between I would say Jimmy Carter in '76 and Ronald Reagan, and when they finally when they finally solved the problem, in '83 when Ronald Reagan actually took the Social Security fund and actually borrowed the money and put that toward the debt, and that broke the high interest rates, and that broke the monetary policy. In other words, they infused the Social Security Trust Fund, which I think was like $4 trillion at the time, which was a lot of money back then. Okay, it doesn't seem like it now. A
right.
lot of money back then, right? That's what actually caused the interest rates and stabilized the monetary policy back then, right? So, and I was alive basically, and I remember my first car that I bought, I paid 20% interest, which is a lot, but
Hmm.
prices were lower.
Yeah.
Okay, prices were lower, but that
I
wasn't
did
easy.
too.
Yeah, you remember that? You remember that, Shawana?
I
Paying
remember
20%
that. I did too. I paid 20% interest, 18% interest. I
interest?
mean, you paid points. It was
Yeah,
it stopped. You stopped having to pay all those high points when the government came in and said it was usury if you
yeah,
charged too many points. But it was, that's when things started to change, and then they started capping the rate on what you could charge a client
yeah,
altogether.
yeah, yeah.
But when I first got into real estate, yeah, the rates were crazy and the
We're
points were
crazy.
crazy. So when I
Mm.
purchased the property, I paid for that.
Yeah, yeah,
But
but it
yeah,
stabilized, And the thing is, but the
it
thing
did.
is,
It stabilized it.
but in the midterm, when you were doing it at the time, it was tough. Okay, now it's stabilized,
Right,
and after things settle down and stabilize, it's a good deal. But you had to get through that rough part. I'm not saying that it won't
right,
stabilize again. The thing is,
right,
you're gonna have to go through some tribulation before you get to it. I don't know if it's gonna be 5 or 7 years, but you're gonna have some tribulation coming up. Okay,
Oh
so.
yeah, oh
I,
yeah. I mean, because I see right now. I've noticed a lot of properties going on the market. You'll see a property here, there. Down the street. You may see 2 or 3 listings sometimes. So I
mm,
think eventually, having too many properties on the market, it will make it a buyer's market, which will, of course, reduce the values of the properties too. So I do
mm,
see what you're saying, the values decreasing a little, slowly.
yeah.
And, I definitely see that taking effect right now. But I still see a moving market, a thriving market.
Yeah,
And hopefully,
the thing is, what you do, is it going to go up, down, sideways, or is it going to lower itself and stabilize? And then that's because of Biden being in office, and this is something um, that Congressman Swiker points out, right? Okay. And he said it, and if I was Trump, I would have repeated. I would make a meme out of this, right? Swiker said, if you haven't earned 26% more on your paycheck in the last 3 years, then you're probably poorer today than you were 3 years ago. That's how
Yeah,
much
that's because of,
the value of your currency is diminished that much. That's
right.
that's
And then
part of inflation. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
and the value of the things that you have to purchase has increased that
Oh
much.
yeah.
I mean, your Department of Water and Power increased,
Yes.
your gas,
Your gas.
your food. I mean, the food.
Yeah.
If you walk out $100, $200, $300
Yeah.
gives you a couple of bags, and you wonder what happened here. And the gas is high. All of these things are high, and a lot of people, it's hard for them. These are tough times for some people,
Mm-hmm.
and then it makes it difficult for them to keep their properties, and you have people that's going to be going into foreclosure and losing properties and things like that. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, and it's because if you got that fluctuating rate too, if you got an adjustable rate,
you got to
in the
adjustable rate.
beginning it was good, but
you're going to get hit.
Fluctuating. You're going to get hit yearly or monthly, depending on what type of terms you wrote up.
And then your property taxes in certain states and certain counties is going to fluctuate. And a lot of homeowners.
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully not in Los Angeles.
In California,
I hope not.
they're pretty. Thank God we got people like Dr. Rosie that's watching out there. You won't get that kind of bill, but the other states like Florida, Texas, places like that, they're getting these big property tax bills out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it just.
I think they tried to do that in that one of those propositions. 4 years ago. They brought up, and I thought about Crenshaw Boulevard because that's where, we still own a lot of property. We still have those major commercial buildings that they would love, love, love to get their hands on. And I would say no to selling it. Just keep it, if you can. But they tried to pass that bill. They tried to pass a bill that if your commercial property is valued over $3 million, that you get reassessed. So if you bought that building, let's say back in the 70s or something like that for $100,000, and today they decide to value it at $3 million. Could you imagine the tax hit you would have had to take? So that's why I'm talking about read these things, because you don't want to see a person get hit with taxes that way, especially on someone that has owned a piece of property. You don't want to increase just because your property is valued at $3 million. Tax that person, reassess their property tax to equal up to what the proper value of the property is, because it's not being fair. Again, that word, fair.
Fair.
I'm going
to teach you how to use that word. I'm going to teach you how to use that word
not
no more.
Use that word. You would want it to be fair, but I'm just saying you can't tax a person on a commercial property and not think that you're next. You're next.
Yes.
You're going to tax the commercial. You don't think that they're going to reassess the whole right across the board to wipe people out of their properties? You don't think so?
Yeah.
You have to be careful of how you vote, because if you vote that way, it's definitely going to be a reassess on single-family residents next. It's only normal. They have to get the small yeses so they can get the big yeses when they need it, and they need our land, they need our properties, and, we're going to be the ones that's hurt because we're not going to be able to afford these increases in what they're doing on increases. Everything is increasing.
Taxes, insurance, all this stuff is increasing. A lot of insurance companies are leaving California because of
California.
One of the fires too, the laws that they have to pass to protect people. There's a lot of reasons that the insurance companies are leaving California. In fact, I got to go talk to my insurance guy about a car today because an insurance company is leaving California. Doctor, this is from Dr. J. Said, how did the performance of each candidate during last week's presidential debate impact the decision for black voters? Okay. I think, for me, I can't answer for other black people. I think that it shows you how far America has fallen. These two, it's not even about their age. These two people on stage probably are not the best that America could produce, in my opinion.
Right.
It was not a very good showing. I hear from people around the world that America should be embarrassed about the debates and the leaders that they try to put forward as leaders of the planet. Um, and I think Black America should be very wary about who you put in office, because is
Right.
that your representative, right? Are these people either one of them? Biden's more diminished than Trump, but Trump is not what he was, the same person that he was in 2016. Okay,
Right.
are these the two people that
So,
you really want setting policy? Go ahead.
yeah. You want to go ahead and put our number out there so that we can get
Okay.
some callers in? And yes, go ahead.
Let's see what go ahead and post the number.
310.
I know it's 3-1. He's going to type it in a second. But the thing is, we want to get some callers in. I know people are not going to agree with it, because I get it from my family all the time, right? When I said, talk about inflation, I said, that your president is the reason that inflation is so high.
Right.
And then,
and you know what? This racism thing, I think when we're making a decision that a person is racist, I have to say, look up, do your facts, because both parties are racist. Both of them are racist. Okay,
there's
we have to talk facts. I think that, I don't think we should base any kind of our decisions on if a person's racist or if they like black people, because if you do your research, you'll find that, things on both parties. So I don't think that that's a decision to make a decision on who you vote for.
Right.
Really look at what the agenda is. Read, where you really see our country going if a person goes in.
It's not just the country, also where you're going to go and where you're going to fit in, because now it's going to get down to where the country goes. It's going to get really personal, because it's going to hit your pocket. At the grocery store, at the gas station, if you got kids, at the school system, okay, taxes, property taxes, all this, it's going to impact you all the way around. Okay, I'm going to give out the number first, okay? The call in 310-928-7733, 310-928-7733. If you want to call in and disagree with me or Shawannah or chime in. Okay, we got a caller on hold. Caller, go ahead. Caller at 323.
They're calling from which number?
Caller, go ahead. Unmute. Go ahead if you want to speak. If not, we'll continue. Okay. All right. Call in if you disagree, because I know black folks are really 323-804.
Well, I don't think we've really said anything for them to disagree with yet.
The thing is that a lot of black folks are, what they say, no matter who, right? And I get it from a lot of my family, because we're just talking about Trump and immunity, okay? And and my mother said, you believe that they're gonna give him immunity, and the Supreme Court is not gonna lock him up? I said, whenever you ever seen a former sitting president being locked up in prison?
Right.
You've never seen it. Okay?
Right. Never.
And you're probably not going to see it. So the fact that he's not going to jail, or they're not going to lock him up, or they're not going to really prosecute him to where he's going to get locked up, is pretty consistent. Okay. So I never believed that. And I believe that where they're going to put him on trial, I think yes. Or they're going to try to convict him, I think yes. Put him in jail, I think not. And even through that, the polls have said that Trump is ahead, and this has been the past 2 years. Even while he's on trial, Trump is way more popular, and Biden's going to have to campaign. Okay, and I don't think Biden can campaign. And what that debate told me is this race is probably over unless there's something really drastic that's going to happen, and a lot of black folks may not be ready for that.
Right. I think that I've been hearing through the grapevine that they're talking about if Biden can't really run properly, then they're going to take him out and put Newsom in his place.
Newsom, okay, they talked about Newsom like 2 years ago, even though we probably need to talk more about politics on a regular basis. They talked about Newsom 2 years ago, and I think they tried to promote him remember when Newsom went to China to visit President Xi in China?
Right.
They were trying to up his profile, okay?
Right.
But I think Newsom probably will say he's 4 years away. He's the next generation. Newsom cannot help you for this particular cycle, right? You're only 4 months out. And
I don't think I would want Newsom as our president. Oh,
my
God.
Even if you wanted him, I mean, I have no idea what kind of we had Trump as president for 2 years, and Trump didn't know what he was doing, okay? So I don't think Newsom can be any worse than Trump his first 2 years. So
right.
the thing is, we have no idea what agenda he's going to carry, what his foreign policy is going to be, what his financial policy is going to be, what his tax policy is going to be, because Biden came in raising taxes and changing your banking policies within the first year or two. Okay, there was a lot of changes that nobody even talked about. Okay, about how they look at your bank account. Like if you get transferred more than $600 in a month, okay, the IRS can actually come in and look at your bank account. That didn't happen before. It used to be, I think, it's 10 or 20,000 was the threshold. Now it's 600. So there's a lot of different things. They actually implemented artificial intelligence to actually look at your bank accounts now. Okay, that's the quiet part out loud. Nobody, there's something we didn't talk about. So these are this administration, and these are the kind of things that a president, especially a president with a willing Congress, can do without you even knowing about it. Now, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I can't say. The thing is, you should know about it and you should be concerned about it because that's the way things are actually going to go. Okay, what will they pretend in the future? Okay, if you notice, just Los Angeles, how they've been reshaping the cities, right? Taking out lanes and changing major streets. Okay, they're supposed to have self-driving cars in Los Angeles right now. Okay. There's supposed to be a lot of people supposed to come out of these cars, and your Uber and your Lyft are supposed to be self-driving, and that's supposed to be the future of your city. Now you have these two things where they're supposed to happen that didn't happen, that are behind, that they're still pouring money into, and they shape your city in a certain way, and now you're stuck with this so-called mess. And the thing is, we have to start paying attention to policy and instead of party. And a lot of things we have been paying attention to party. We put the right people in, and they're going to take care of us. That might not be the case anymore. McCall Trump is convicted as a convicted criminal. Is it even possible that he could be sentenced to jail? I would say I'd be stunned. I'd be stunned, and I think that's what people are upset about this Supreme Court decision, because that's going to have ripple effect as far as the local trials that he has to go under. They probably will not put him in jail. How are you going to put unless you got something really serious to put him in jail for? You got a front runner in the presidential race that's running for president, and you're going to put him in jail for what? You got to have something really serious to put him in jail for.
Right.
And the stuff that
a lot of people feel like he's they feel like he's a crook, but is he a crook? I don't.
Basically, Trump has not even campaigned over the past 2 years, right? For the most part, he hasn't campaigned. He's been on trial. Okay, but guess what? He won. He's going to win the Republican nomination without even running. How is that possible?
Mm-hmm. Because they helped him. They helped him.
What the trials helped him?
They were hurting him, but
they helped him. Yeah, they helped him.
They actually helped him because they made people look and see and wonder, well, why is it that you don't like this guy so much? What is it that you don't like? I mean, that's what I would ask. What is it that you really don't like about him? Because everything that they're going after, I don't know how.
Even former Governor Cuomo said the same thing. American people do not like that you politicize the criminal justice system, and they take an exception to it, and it's showing up in the polls. Okay, we added a caller. Caller, if you want to jump in, please jump in. Unmute and jump in.
Hello. Yeah, I just saw on the internet an hour ago that Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg said that the sentencing of Trump will be delayed. So that should tell you something. So they probably knocked on his door.
They're probably not going to get to it.
Yeah. That you want to stay in office, then you're gonna have to straighten up.
I never thought that they would put a sitting or a former president in prison because he knows too much.
I didn't either.
And the fact is,
No, I don't see that.
criminalizing him was supposed to be sufficient, and it hasn't been sufficient.
Yep.
In fact,
Yep.
it's backfired. So now,
Yep.
basically, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And remember, the residency is an institution, not necessarily one individual. So they are not going to do that. The whole purpose of this was just to embarrass him and get a few $100 million out of him and go on. So a lot of the things that you all were saying, especially you, Keith, was right on the money, and all this stuff was nothing new. It's just that now the forces is coming out more, and I think we talked about this before. The pandemic was just the beginning of all these other things to come.
Yes.
So now on the so-called immigration front, if they put in artificial intelligence like they talking about, that is supposedly worldwide, it's going to displace 400 million workers.
Yes.
So how would you think that would affect the migration movement? Because if they don't have no jobs, they can't stay.
The thing is, they will stay. They're going to stay. They're going to make sure that they stay. The thing is, at the cost of whom? That's what I want black people. They're not going anywhere.
That's the question. At the cost of whom?
At the cost of whom?
Yep. At the cost of whom?
And I know reparations at our forefront in our minds, but that's going to happen later. Okay. The thing is, what's going to happen immediately right now? Because when they put people here and they take resources and they're giving migrants. I think they're giving them like in California, what is it, like $150,000 grants to buy houses?
Yeah.
Where's that money coming from? Okay.
Yep.
I mean, have you seen a flyer for black families that's going to give you a grant to buy $150,000 to buy a house in L.A. or California?
Of course not.
Has they come to you? So now, the thing is, we have to pay attention to stuff like this because the money's got to come from somewhere. Okay.
I agree, and I will wrap up with this. Is that this is why that you can never go by that people of color, minority, and all that other foolishness, because you marginalize yourself. And the end, because they said, well, wait a minute, we do got some minorities. We got Asian, Hispanic. Oh, yeah, we also got women. But that's a white woman. So how can she be a minority when she's a part of the ruling class?
Because you allowed white men and white women to put her as the minority to get the bulk of the lion's share of the money. Okay, there's no secret why white wealth quadrupled with civil rights. Okay, civil rights actually benefited white women way more than it did black people.
You ain't never kidding about that.
Yeah,
you ain't ever kidding about that. Well, I'm let you all get back into it and continue the good work.
All right. We got another caller. You want to chime in? Got another caller? Oh, okay.
They have to mute themselves?
Yeah, somebody's got to mute because they got noise in the background. Caller, if you want to mute yourself or jump in. Okay. Is America a banana republic? Not yet. Okay. So welcome to fascism, hell Trump. The thing is about fascism, okay? Fascism, I hear the word thrown around a lot, but you have to understand Germany, prior to the 19th century Germany, when Germany became a country, to understand fascism, okay? Fascism is really three things: corporate power, military power, and authoritarianism, right? Okay. It's very difficult to have an authoritarian government in a very individualistic liberal country like the United States. Okay, you see some white boys out there with you know with their gun rights or about fascism. They're not, because they don't believe in authoritarian power. They believe in
that's
individual
like
rights.
dictatorship, basically dictatorship.
Dictatorship, but also not only dictatorship. But the thing is, authoritarianism comes from feudalism, right? Where you had a king, okay, which America fought against, okay, and a lot of your European countries, especially where fascism started, like Germany and Italy, okay. The reason you have fascism in Italy and Germany is because liberalism failed in first in Italy in the 20s, because Mussolini was a socialist before he became a fascist. Okay, but when socialism failed in Italy, and the country started to collapse economically, they went back to what they knew. Same thing with Weimar Germany. Okay, remember Weimar Germany, the inflation where you had to have a wheelbarrow of money to actually buy a loaf of bread. Okay, things got out of hand. So what did they do? They went back to what they knew, okay, which is authoritarianism, right? Military authoritarianism, because Germany was actually built on what they call iron and blood, which is steel, okay, which is weapons and steel, and the blood of the people as far as militarism. That's fascism, okay? Fascism, as even neo-fascism as we know it, has to be under some kind of authoritarian leader, okay? Even neo-fascism, when they brought it back in Chile, right? Okay, Chile had to have an authoritarian leader. United States probably cannot be fascist, in my opinion. So I know we say fascism under Trump. A lot of your yahoos that we talk about fascism are not going to follow behind an authoritarian leader, even Trump. Okay, because their thing is, you got to pry my gun from my cold dead hands. And if you try that kind of stuff, the same yahoos that elect you will be the same yahoos that will actually invade it with their pistols. So as far as fascism, I don't see that, but I see other things that are just as ugly.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I do too. I see. I mean, it just depends on, again, how we vote. But I really want to push that. Everybody should definitely read what's coming up in our upcoming elections. I actually believe that we should probably have a couple of shows dedicated to just breaking down each one of them, not directing a person on how to vote, because I think you should make your own decision on that, but thinking about it logically and seeing if it really makes sense, and understanding that whatever we vote for, if we're voting to hurt someone that has a little bit more money, just understand that it's going to come back to you as well. So make sure we're making an educated decision on when we're making that choice on voting, because, it's going to matter. Like, it matters what on owners that own properties on apartment buildings and stuff. We think that we're hurting the owner by doing, but you're not. You're really hurting yourself, because ultimately it hurts the tenant. Some of these things, but they're not saying that. They're just making it sound good, and you go along with it. But you have to really consider what you're doing and where it's going to go. Yeah. As opposed to just listening to what they're telling you to do. You have to read it and think about it.
I would say this, and you're one to ask this question. Most property owners that own a lot of property don't raise rents because they want to. Okay. They raise rents because they have to, because the costs are going up.
Right.
And a lot of times we blame the property owners, the apartment owners, about rising rents without looking at the underlying problem. Yeah.
Right. I know on buildings that I own, I was spending $5,700 every 2 months on my Department of Water and Power bill. And now it's like $13,000, okay?
Yes.
And trash, $450. Now it's $1,500. I mean, gas. Everything has gone up. Everything continuously goes up. And really, the person that it hurts in the long run, when you think that you're hurting the owner of a property. You're really hurting the building. You're hurting the tenants. You're hurting a lot of things. And so you have to vote properly.
And you push the individual property owner out that knows you, that cares about you, and they have to say, you know what, I'm out, I'm going to sell. You sell to these big institutions, right? These big hedge funds. They don't care about you. They have AIs running their bills, and basically when they send you a bill, they don't care whether you have a place to live or not. You're just a number.
No,
you're just the bottom line, and that's what's happening. You have a lot. You're thinking that you're getting in on the individual property owners, but you're not. You're actually selling into something much worse.
Right.
And the thing is, that's another thing. How I think that that's one thing that the Republicans are trying to do, because it's affecting not only us but also their constituencies, right? They're trying to get a lot of these big conglomerates, these big nameless people out of buying property. Okay, they're trying to get them out of the business. You have these big $1 trillion hedge funds buying up, single family homes and buying up apartment buildings and doubling and tripling the rents. Okay.
Right.
And that's something that you have to focus on, because most individual property owners want stabilization. They don't want, the thing is, you want your check to come in every month without no sweat, without all these headaches. Okay. Most individual property owners are that way. Your hedge funds are looking at, how can I maximize profits? They don't care about you. And that's something that people, whether you own property, you rent, something like that, you got to get involved with this stuff. It's going to affect you. You don't want to, because if not, the way things are going, you could wind up in a FEMA camp. That's not where you want to be. A long time, 20 years ago, they said, somebody asked me about 20 years ago, I said, all these FEMA camps that they're building, all these prison trains that they're building, what are they building them for, right? They said at the time they're going to just start moving people, right? I said, in other words, you don't want to wait until you need them to have them. Okay, so they were building them in the mid-aughts, right after the 9/11. They started building these things, not because they expect the things to happen, just in case something happens. Okay, this might be your just in case scenarios, right? In other words, you say that they can't do anything. These things are already in place, already ready, just in case they need them. And if they decide to hit a switch and you're not aware of it, you could wind up in one of these places, because they're already there.
Right.
They're already there, and the wrong person in office, the wrong policy, financial pressure, a bank run, anything could hit that switch, and you could wind up someplace that you don't want to be. So y'all need to really focus in on policy. You need to start reading and paying attention to this stuff, and not just looking at CNN or Fox or MSNBC and looking at them tell you what's going on, because they're not.
Right. And you can't listen to people tell you to vote this way. You have to vote your way. You have to vote the smart. I mean, you have to think smart right now. You have to think smart right now. It's so important to think smart, because, things will change, and it will change so drastically. Like right now, our lives have changed. I don't know, have anyone recognized how much it has changed? I mean, our world has changed drastically. Our money system is changing right in front of our eyes. And there's so many different things that are happening, and, we have to be aware of this.
Yeah,
we can't have our eyes shut. We have to open our eyes and see, what's right for us and what's wrong for us. We have to speak out. We can't say, "Oh, I don't want to vote because I don't like either one of them. I'm not voting," because your vote will matter.
Your vote will matter.
It will matter. It will matter. So, and you can't just vote the way someone tells you. You have to vote where you read and you make a proper decision for our next 4 years.
Yeah, and
it will matter.
And your thing is, you can't, and this is something that Obama said, you just can't vote and then walk away. Okay, you're going to have to write, you're going to have to text, you're going to have to tweet, you're going to have to let these politicians know what you're thinking and what you're feeling on just about every issue. That goes all the way down to the school board, right? Okay. They
Right.
have emails, okay? They have emails, they have texts, they have tweets, they got websites. You need to hit them all, okay? I mean,
Right. Right.
it only takes like a few seconds to send a text, okay? That matters.
Right.
Every text,
Right.
every tweet, every email matters. So Shawannah can tell you all that stuff matters. Every single one of them, right? And you're gonna have to start being involved. You're gonna while you're sitting there on your tablet watching CNN, okay? Okay, get get your fingers moving. Send an email, send a text to your local politician, from your school board member, okay, to your judge, your school board member, all the way up to your president. Okay, they can all be contacted right now, right? And sometimes it takes more people. The further up you go to actually make a difference. But the thing is, it all matters, and you're gonna have to get involved with politics. If you learn nothing about what we said today, and Dr. Rosie can tell you she's been talking about this since I've known her, right? Politics is personal now, okay? It's not something that
Right.
somebody else
Right.
does, okay? Because the
Right.
policy that you ignore today, 6 months from now, it's going to cost you money, time, and maybe even a job, okay? You're going to have to get involved.
Yeah.
You can't be on the couch just watching TV anymore. You're going to have to get involved, okay? Because I've talked to
Yes.
people in Kenya, right? People in Kenya are out in the streets, okay? They're out in the streets
Right.
throwing rocks, okay? Because they don't like what's going
Right.
on, right? Because taxes and policies are going on right now. You got Nairobi's on fire right now with people in the streets. Okay, I talked to a couple of them, right, and then they said they are protesting because they're not having it, right. And Kenya is a developing country and not sophisticated, right. I'm not saying we need to be out in the streets because we don't have to, but the thing is, you got to get them fingers moving.
Right. Right. No, we do. We do. It makes a difference. Do we have the time for one more caller? Do we have another caller?
Oh, I think the caller is not home, but we don't have time because we got to close right now.
Okay.
So, but
Go ahead.
but the thing is, go to Facebook, go to Dr. Rosie on YouTube, and the replay will be there. In fact, we'll probably put more stuff in there. But until next time, folks.
Till next time.